All right, Tulsi Gabbard, she is at her best in this little clip, minute 15 seconds. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to try to explain Syria for those of you who may not know or care or may think that this issue is something that the United States needs to be involved in. Tulsi Gabbard is going to explain as to why that is not the truth.
I am glad to hear that some of my former colleagues in Congress are speaking out against the recent unconstitutional airstrikes in Syria.
Okay, so for those of you who like Trump, and I do like Trump more than Biden, but here's the deal. Biden is doing what Trump did. The only time the media really liked Donald Trump was when he launched a missile attack on Syria, which was unconstitutional, and for a few of his supporters, the wheels came off the bus. But see, foreign policy to many people is kind of like outside their realm of understanding, or it's not here, it's not affecting me directly, but it really is affecting everyone directly. And the perception of, say, the tough commander-in-chief doing what needs to be done in a foreign land and during a, so-called pandemic with all these different things happening, that shows true leadership, right? No, if you like the whole America First agenda, this is not America First, unless you believe military contractors are America, and we're not, So Tulsi Gabbard here calling out her former colleagues, basically saying that, it's nice that they're complaining, but there's a bigger problem.
But they're ignoring the bigger issue. The regime change war the United States continues to wage in Syria using Al-Qaeda, al-Nusra, HTS terrorists as our proxy ground force, and who now occupy and control the city of Idlib.
Okay, so get this point, because Syria is a bit complicated. And you'll hear that in the media. Well, it's a complex situation. Well, it's really not when you boil it down, as we're using these are actual terrorist military operations. You can call them whatever name you want. She went through the list. One of them was Al-Qaeda. I think most Americans understand Al-Qaeda and think, so why are we using Al-Qaeda to fight our battles in Syria? Why are we assisting them? And why are we sponsoring them? Why are we paying for their equipment? Why are we helping them? That should be the question, but the media, of course, has obfuscated that, and they frame it in such a way that it just sounds like, oh, there are some bad dudes in Syria, and we're over there protecting the good people in Syria, where exactly the opposite is happening because of our involvement in Syria.
Imposing Sharia law and cleansing the area of most Christians and religious minorities.
Okay, does that sound good? Sharia law and cleansing the area of religious minorities, including Christians. Now, a lot of Christians, they supported Trump for president, and a lot of Christians, at least some Roman Catholics, think Biden is great. So, yeah, no, that isn't the truth, and you just heard that just the opposite is occurring.
The Biden administration continues to use our military to illegally occupy northeastern Syria to, quote, take the oil, as Trump so crassly but honestly put it.
All right, so Trump at least was honest, and he told everybody what he was doing. Biden will pretend that, no, we're not doing that. But, if you're not going to be energy independent, see, Trump at least tried to say, okay, we have enough of our own resources. We don't technically need these other countries to do this stuff. And Biden, on the other hand, is going to need these countries to supplement our supply over here, as prices again last night spiked. So since Inauguration Day, or at least since the election, prices have gone up about 60 cents a gallon where I live, and they continue to go up. And that is going to hurt a lot of working class folks who, you know, haven't been out of the house, but maybe want to get out of the house. I guess if gas goes up to $4 or $5 a gallon, that'll keep people sheltered in place. Maybe that was, you know, the goal, and we missed an opportunity to help people stop driving. Now we're going to have a foreign policy. And by the way, anytime there's instability in a region like Syria, speculators drive the prices up even more. It's just insane how that all works.
Violating international law. A modern-day siege of draconian embargo and sanctions, similar to what the Saudi-U.S. alliance employed in Yemen, is causing death and suffering.
Okay, death and suffering. Did you hear that? Death and suffering for millions of innocent Syrians. All right, and she will continue here.
For millions of innocent Syrians, depriving them of things like food, medicine, clean water, energy, warmth, and making it impossible for the Syrian people to try to begin to rebuild their war-torn country.
All right, so that's the video. Tulsi Gabbard, in 1 minute and 15 seconds, absolutely dismantles the military-industrial complex. She explains a complicated foreign policy issue, and she breaks it down so even people like, you know, yours truly can understand. And this is what makes Tulsi Gabbard a unique force. She complimented her former colleagues, but she noted that they're missing the bigger issue here. A lot of the resistance to going into Syria here is based on tribalism of the two parties and ideology, rather than just looking at a situation and saying, is this good or is this bad? Is this good for America? Is this going to help the American people at a time where many of us are still trying to recover from last year? And yesterday, if you listened to the director of the CDC, they are now worried about variants, and they are telling states not to open. They're saying, don't let your guard down. And the tyranny will continue based on that, based on an unelected official. And you couple that with just the ridiculous foreign policy stuff we're doing here, the lack of concern. I understand why there are progressives out there who are just beside themselves, because, again, we are delivering for the oligarchs. We're delivering for the military-industrial complex. We're keeping their gravy train alive while we ignore, again, the forgotten men and women of this country, the working class, the blue-collar folks who make the country work, all right? And Tulsi Gabbard, she understands this is all interconnected. That's why when she ran for president, she said foreign policy is domestic policy. And if we don't fix it, we're not going to be able to fix what we're doing here at home. We can bring resources back. We can argue about what to do with those resources. Even if you're libertarian and you want to, say, balance the budget or control spending or whatever it is that you want, there's no way we can do that until we get a hold of our rogue and independent from the president foreign policy. The difference between Biden and Trump, and there is a difference, I think Biden has two hands off the steering wheel. Trump may have had a finger. You know, when you drive like this, that's the difference. And it is a difference because Trump at least tried to steer the car away from this crap with very little success. Biden has no hands on the wheel. And it's full steam ahead. And you could see this coming even before Inauguration Day. So that's my video on this topic. Tulsi Gabbard, again, a light in the wilderness, one voice crying out. I wish she would declare for the President of the United States, as some kind of independent or libertarian candidate. That would be truly exciting. We can't have, the also-ran presidency. We can't have the status quo. We need a ginormous shakeup of the establishment, and she is the right person at the right time to get this done.